It's Dr. Rodney here, and today I want to talk about furthering the discussion that we've been having on different economic policies with the presidential elections, things like that. So, I want to really talk about a couple key items here. The first one is probably the most controversial, per se, and I think in the economic community, there's going to be a lot of discussion there, and that is tariffs. Now, this is something that President Donald Trump, or former President Donald Trump, used during his first term in office, and it actually used it pretty effectively as as a tool to get people to the negotiating table. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, has actually said that since he does a lot of business in China and in other places, he actually would like to see 400% tariffs on China because they do take intellectual property, they do steal different things, and have those different situations where it's really can hurt businesses that do business abroad. The argument against tariffs is it makes goods more expensive. That is actually not false. That is true. You put a tariff on something, that means to bring that into the country, whoever's bringing it in has to pay more, and they're going to pass that along the chain. Thus, it's going to be more expensive. And in a time of high inflation, that could be a situation where now we increase inflation and we have higher cost, higher goods, and it really slows down our economy. The argue for tariffs is that it's actually taking low-cost items or items from other countries that are done at a more lower cost or whatever, which actually are hurting U.S. made products. So tariffs are a way to actually make that equal. But what it will do is, because a lot of times those tariffs get applied to the raw materials, because really nothing finished is ever really brought into the country. It's usually mostly raw materials. But if you put high tariffs on those raw materials, they're going to be used for both U.S. products and also for those lower made products or cheaper products, unless you got an overall increase up. However, I actually am for tariffs. I think tariffs are a way to do it. Long term, probably not. But it's a way to actually make some competition or bring those prices up to ours if it's more of a finished product. If it's more on a raw product or raw material used to get to the finished product, that will actually only just increase all products. So it's a balance of where you do it, and sometimes you may just have to do it across the boards with certain countries. The whole point there of what Mr. Wonderful or Kevin O'Leary was arguing for tariffs on China is to get them to the table so that we can get real wins. And if you're slowing down their biggest market, which is the U.S., and keeping goods from coming in, then probably what would happen is they would want to come to the table and actually we may have some real change because of that. But you could slow down our economy really drastically doing so because China is going to feed it in there. So it's a pretty, detailed balancing game when you're looking at that. It may have some really good effects and some really strong results, but it could actually put our economy into, I won't say a recession, but it could slow us down pretty closely to where there might be an issue there. The other one is, I've talked about this a couple times, but is the more houses or the 25,000 for houses will actually bring down housing prices. One of the things that is based on is based on a supply and demand situation. So right now we have a housing shortage. So if we get more houses, by theory, supply and demand, our demand probably hasn't changed, but now our supply has. So when we're looking at that, that should mean that pricing is going to go down. The problem is supply and demand, when in a vacuum, yeah, that will work. But when you really look at all those different things, the cost to build those houses are still there. So even though we are going to have more houses, it's not necessarily going to put a glut in there because the demand is there, but sometimes people want houses. That demand is there. That is correct. But a lot of them can't afford it. So if someone's building a house, they're not going to build it to sell to the people that can't afford it. They're going to build it to send to the people that can afford it. that supply is already oversupply. Because, like I said, there's a demand for houses, but a lot of that, majority of that demand, can't afford them at the current price. So building more houses, someone's building it isn't going to build it below that demand price. They're going to build it at or above that demand price. And knowing that there's going to be a $25,000 credit to get there, that's going to make that demand price even higher. Thus, it's going to continue to hurt that. So I'm a big supply and demand guy. However, it's not going to work in this situation. It will just continue to go up. So both policies, I think, have some very, very good, strong ideas and intentions to them. But I also think they both have some very major flaws that need to be worked out. So that is Dr. Rodney on your Economic Minute today.